Peace to the fam out there. Shalom, brothers. Akim, Wa, through the spirit and power of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. And we're back with part 2 on the behalf of dealing with the solar eclipse, part 2. Now, I'm going to be using some Hollywood material for reference to point out the solar eclipse, to point out some significant things on the behalf of the solar eclipse. And I'm going to basically show you that we are at the time of rebellion. We are at the time of basically rising against the oppressor, and basically you could say a revolutionary. We are at a revolutionary era and time right now. So I'm going to point out revolution and the solar eclipse through the spirit and power of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, who the world calls God and Jesus Christ. Double honors to the elders, and also salutations to the brothers that's preaching, teaching this truth in sincerity. Let's get into the lesson. Many of you may be familiar with the image before you, but if you're not, this is Nat Turner. N-A-T-T-U-R-N-E-R. Nat Turner. Now, who was Nat Turner? Many of you blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, you should know Nat Turner. If you know anything about history, you should know Nat Turner. But however, if you don't know Nat Turner, I would be happy to enlighten you on the behalf of Nat Turner by giving you just a brief summary. Who, what was Nat Turner, what did he do? This is a short summary concerning Nat Turner. Okay? Nat Turner was an enslaved African American. Now, we know he wasn't an African American. We should know by now that the so-called African Americans are American Negroes, according to biblical prophecy, are the descendants of Judah, meaning that we are the true Jews according to the biblical prophecies. So we're not African American. This was a byword that was placed upon us by our oppressors. Okay? Primarily Jesse Jackson, the one gave us the term African American. All right, but anyways, Nat Turner was enslaved African American who led a rebellion of slaves and free blacks in Southampton County, Virginia, on August 21st, 1831. So you can see right there that Nat Turner was an enslaved African, so-called African American. He was a Jew who led a rebellion of slaves and to free blacks in Southampton County, Virginia, on what? On what month and date? August 21st, 1831. Right? Now, ain't that something? Because the solar eclipse is August 21st, 2017. Which supposedly happened today. So the solar eclipse supposed to actually happen on today of August 21st, 2017. And Nat Turner led a rebellion of slaves, okay, to free his people, caused a rebellion against his oppressor to free his people in Southampton County, Virginia on what? August 21st, 1831. Okay? All right, so on August 21st, 1831, Nat Turner caused a rebellion in Virginia. It says the rebels went from plantation to plantation, gathering horses and guns, freeing other slaves along the way. It says, and recruiting other blacks who wanted to join their revolt. during the rebellion. Virginia legislators targeted free blacks with a colonization bill, which allocated new funding to remove them, and a police bill that denied free blacks trials by jury and made any free blacks convicted of a crime subject to sale and relocation. The rebellion resulted in the deaths of 55 to 65 white people. So Nat Turner and his man murdered 55 to 65 white people. Why did he do this? We're going to show you why. Whites organized militias and called out regular troops to suppress uprising. In addition, white militias and mobs attacked blacks in the area, killing an estimated 120, many of whom were not involved in the revolt. So these white people just went on a rampage and got upset because Nat Turner and his man murdered 55 to 65 white people, and they just went to killing just black people that weren't even involved in the revolt. It goes on to say, in the aftermath, the state quickly arrested and executed 55 blacks, accusing of being part of Turner's slave rebellion. Turner hid successfully for 2 months. When found, he was tried, convicted, sentenced to death, and hanged. So they hung Nat Turner, across Virginia. In other southern states, state legislators passed new laws to control slaves and free blacks. They prohibited education of slaves, and free blacks, restricted rights of assembly for free blacks, withdrew their right to bear arms in some states and to vote in North Carolina, for instance, and required white ministers to be present at all black worship services. So the moral to this story is that Nat Turner caused basically a revolt on the plantation, brothers and sisters. This is the lifespan of Nat Turner from October 2nd, 1800 to November the 11th, 1831. This is the lifespan. This man was a so-called African American, which was a Jew, that led a rebellion of slaves, that caused a revolt on the plantation, rounded up some slaves to help him, and they went out and basically from plantation to plantation, gathering guns and so many other things, and guess what? Killing how many white people? The rebellion resulted in the deaths of 55 to 65 white people. Now, why did Nat Turner do this? I'm going to show you why. Why did Nat Turner do this, brothers and sisters? Why did Nat Turner cause an uproar or uprising on the plantation against the oppressor? I'm going to show you why. Nat Turner believed the eclipse was a final sign from God. Wait a minute. Nat Turner believed that the eclipse was a final sign from God. And 8 days later, he and 70 other slaves killed an estimate of 55 to 65 white people in Southampton County, Virginia. This is famously known as Nat Turner's slave rebellion. Turner was highly intelligent and learned how to read and write at a young age. So you can see the post, August 13, 1831. Nat Turner sees a solar eclipse appeared first on. So Nat Turner was in a cotton field, and on a particular day he looked up and seen a solar eclipse. August 13, 1831, Nat Turner sees a solar eclipse. Nat Turner believed that the eclipse was a final sign from God, and 8 days later, he and 70 other slaves killed an estimate of 55 to 65 white people in Southampton County, Virginia. Y'all see that? So what caused Nat Turner to go on a rampage? What caused rebellion on the plantation? What caused an uproar? What caused uprising? What caused revolution? Nat Turner said that the solar eclipse he believed was the final sign from God. See? Nat Turner saw a new sign from God. He said Nat Turner believed that this was a sign from God to rise up against the white man. And it was, brothers and sisters. So on the behalf of this solar eclipse that supposedly happened today, that's supposedly to be happening today, August 21st, 2017, it is a sign for you blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans to rise up, to gather yourselves together as a nation. Because these so-called white people, which are these Edomites concerning these scriptures, and these heathens and these other heathens out here, they are going down, man. It's just a matter of time. This is from astronomytoday.com concerning Nat Turner eclipse, 1831 CE. Says the greatest slave revolt in North America was led by Nat Turner. This was from the 1800s, okay, to 1831. The clever Turner learned how to read with his master's son. An undesirable skill from the master's viewpoint for a slave during these times due to the fear of rebellion. Turner afterwards dedicated himself to religion and became a preacher for his followers. In 1828, he had a vision. Okay? So in 1828, he had a vision. He would lead his people to liberty, but he should wait for a sign from God. So Nat Turner was waiting for a sign from God, and it came from the sky. As you can see down here, it says Nat Turner points at a lunar eclipse. Nat Turner, as you can see, points at a lunar eclipse. He foresees the rebellion that would take place with the eclipse of the moon. Okay? Brothers and sisters. It goes on to say the annual eclipse of the sun occurred on February 12, 1831. Turner saw it as a black angel occulting a white one. The time had arrived for blacks to overcome whites. And that's what Turner believed that, let's go back. That's what Turner believed that the eclipse signified. He said, look, it was time for blacks to rise above or to trot and over white people. And that's what the eclipse, that's what it looks like, okay? As you can see right here, you see that eclipse? That's the moon covering the sun. And that's blackness that is basically plastering out the light. So that is black people basically getting above over-trodden white people. All right? That is basically a revolution. All right? Nat Turner believed that was a sign of revolution. Black people covering or plastering out white people, just like you see in the eclipse right here. Okay? Back to this post or the article, you may say, Turner saw it as a black angel occulting a white one. The time had arrived for blacks to overcome whites, so it was the right moment for rebellion. Several months later, after having murdered his original masters, Turner and his band of insurgents headed for the small town of Jerusalem, where a militia man promptly interrupted their march. It goes on to say, most of the slaves, including Turner, went into hiding for 70 days before being taken to the gallows and hanged. Okay? Now, it just says 70 days they hid out. 7 reminds me of completion. That's the Most High's favorite number. But anyway, it says 70. So, 10 sevens is 70. And 7 is completion. After 70 days, it says, before being taken to gallows and hung. They was hiding for 70 days before being taken to gallows and hanged. Many people died in this revolt, and in no other episode have so many slave owners perished. A reason why many consider Turner to be a hero of the resistance. Many slave owners perished. A reason why many consider Turner to be a hero of the resistance to oppression against black people in the United States. Okay, so there you have it, y'all. As we showed you about Nat Turner, we showed you here, Nat Turner points at a lunar eclipse. He foresees the rebellion that would take place with the eclipse of the moon. And he believed that basically Turner saw it as a black angel coaching a white one. So that's what that meant to Turner. Basically, that meant that the time had arrived for blacks to overcome whites. So it was the right moment for rebellion. Nat Turner had prayed that God would give him a sign when to act upon causing a revolt or rebellion on the plantation. And this, he believed, was the sign. So many people may look at Nat Turner and believe that Nat Turner was crazy, man. But he was not crazy. And this is on the behalf of this solar eclipse concerning August 21st, 2017. Because that is a sign for the blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans to rise above this white man and take down his power structure. That's a sign that your blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, your captivity is almost at an end. That your redemption is near, and that S.F.I.A is going to fight and plead on your behalf. That eclipse is a sign for blacks and Hispanics to now rise against the white supremacists here in America. Because we know the white man being the devil for who he is, these Edomites, we know, according to the scriptures, the white man is the devil, and God hates the so-called white man, which is Esau, pursuant to Malachi, the 1st chapter, and also Romans 9 and 13 says, for Jacob have I loved and Esau have I hated. So it's time to rise up, blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, against this oppressor, like Nat Turner did, you know. So that's what the eclipse is all about, brothers and sisters. It's a time for revolution. It's a time to rise up. And it's a time to overthrow the oppressor. It's a time to claim, take back what this goddamn devil has raped, robbed, and murdered you from, okay? So, yeah, Nat Turner was a preacher, and Nat Turner knew these scriptures. Nat Turner knew the Bible was against the white man. He knew that the Bible condemns the so-called white man. He saw this, and I'm going to show you basically what he saw in the scriptures. Ezekiel 35, verse 1. Moreover, the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against Mount Seir and prophesy against it. Now, Mount Seir here is on the behalf of Edom. Who are the Edomites? The Edomites are the so-called Caucasians, white people, pale-skinned people. They call themselves Europeans. That's Mount Seir. Edom, Esau. And say unto it, Ezekiel 35 and 3, Thus said the Lord God, Behold, O Mount Seir, I am against thee. That's why Nat Turner did what he did. He just didn't want to act out on any occasion because he'd say he needed a sign from the Most High. And he believed that that eclipse that he saw in that cotton field was the sign. See? On the behalf of Ezekiel 35. He said, I'm against thee, and I will stretch out my hand against thee, and I will make thee most desolate. Nat Turner saw himself in this chapter right here, man. Ezekiel 35:4, I will lay thy cities waste, and thou shalt be desolate, and thou shalt know that I am the Lord. So when he said, I will lay thy cities waste, Nat Turner saw himself in this scripture, man. Okay? Nat Turner saw himself in Ezekiel 35th chapter, man, and he acted on that because he knew that the Bible condemns you so-called white people. Ezekiel 35:5, because thou hast had perpetual hatred and hast shedded the blood of the children of Israel. Yeah, Esau, man. Shedding the blood of the children of Israel by the force of the sword. Killing up blacks and Hispanics for no damn reason, man. Just out of the spite of oppression and hate. In the time of their calamity, in the time of our slavery, in the time of the blacks and Hispanic slavery, in the time that their iniquity had an end. See? Ezekiel 35:6, therefore as I live, said the Lord God, I will prepare thee into blood, and blood shall pursue thee, since thou hast not hated blood, even blood shall pursue thee. Nat Turner saw himself in this chapter right here, man. Ezekiel 35:7, thus will I make Mount Seir most desolate, and cut off from it him that passeth out, and him that return. Ezekiel 35:8, and I will fill his mountains with his slain men. That's why Nat Turner gathered those men up on the plantation and went out and started killing those white men, white women, and children up. It says, in thy hills, in thy valleys, and all thy rivers shall they fall, they that are slain with the sword. And that's why Nat Turner had a sword, man. Did it not tell you right here, the rebellion resulted in the death of 55 to 65 white people? Nat Turner and his man murdered 55 to 65 white people, man. Why did he do that? Why did Nat Turner act on that, man? Because he knew these scriptures. He knew this Bible, man. He was a preacher. Ezekiel 35:8. And in thy valleys and all thy rivers shall they fall, that are slain with the sword. And that's what Nat Turner had, a Bible and a sword. See? So when Nat Turner was captured, you can see right there on his right hand side, he had a sword, man. He had a sword because he knew these scriptures, man. Genesis 9:6. Whoso sheddeth man's blood, by man shall his blood be shed. For in the image of God made he man. Genesis 9:6. Whoso sheddeth man's blood. Now who shedded the blacks and Hispanics' blood? The white man did. That's how he got everything that he has today. Off the blood, sweat, and tears of the blacks and Hispanics and Native Americans. Whosoever sheddeth man's blood, by man shall his blood be shed. That's why Nat Turner went on a rampage on the plantation and started killing you crackers up, man. Rounded up his men and started killing you crackers up because he knew these scriptures. The Bible is not the white man book. It condemns the white man. It speaks against the white man. This is Exodus 21:16. And he that steals a man and sells him, or if he be found in his hand, he shall surely be put to death, man. Now, who stole blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans and sold them on auction blocks? The so-called white man. And many other Gentile nations in the Bible, such as the Babylonians, the Persians, the Greeks, which is the white man, the Romans, which is the white man again. The Egyptians did it to us, the Assyrians. All these Gentile nations had their hands in stealing us and selling us. Say, whosoever do that, according to Exodus 21:16, if he stealeth a man and sells him, or if he be found in his hand, like a lot of blacks and Hispanics were found in the so-called white man's hand and still is, it says what? He shall surely be put to death, man. Nat Turner knew this Bible. And that's what this solar eclipse is all about. Because all these book, chapter, and verses, all this stuff concerning the white man and what he did, is coming down on his ass, man. Nat Turner just was a prime example to show blacks and Hispanics what they are going to do to these heathens in the kingdom to come, man. So that solar eclipse, that's exactly what that's indicating. That's exactly what that's describing. That's exactly what that's pointing to. Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans is going to rise. Okay? And we're going to rise above you white people. We're going to put you to death according to the scriptures, according to this Bible. And you heathens. And 2/3 of our own people that don't want to keep God's commandments. This is the sign. This is the sign of revolution. This is the sign of blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans uniting themselves and trotting down the heathen. Uniting themselves and bashing the damn white man head in, his woman and his children, man. Nat Turner knew that. Nat Turner knew that. The so-called blacks getting above the whites. That's why the eclipse like that. That darkness is over the light, meaning that blacks were trotting these white people, man. Okay? This is Psalms 137, verse 7. Remember, O Lord, the children of Edom. Okay, this is what David said. Remember these crackers. Remember these white folks. Remember this white man, this white woman, these white children that laughed at us while we was being lynched and burned alive. That put their cross in our yards and burnt us on the cross. All right, that raped, robbed, and murdered us. That castrated our men, that raped our women, that sold our kids on the auction block. Okay, including the adult men and women, that fed our children to alligators. Okay, that lynched us and then turn around and make them post stamps out of those lynchings. And all the unspeakable atrocities that they carried out on the blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. David said in Psalms 137, verse 7, remember them, O Lord. Remember their ass. O Lord, the children of Edom. You evil-ass white people. Okay, in the day of Jerusalem, who said, raise it, meaning to destroy it, destroy it. Because when the Babylonians took us down, Esau was on the sideline rooting for the Babylonians, cheering them on while they were slaughtering and killing us up. Remember these crackers. Okay? Who said, raise it, even to the foundation thereof. Psalm 137, verse 8, O daughter of Babylon, who are to be destroyed. You white people got something coming to you, man. And that's on the behalf of this eclipse. That's on the behalf of this eclipse right here. It symbolized the downfall of the white race and all you other Gentiles. And it represents the uprising of the blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans who keep in God's laws and righteousness as the children of Israel. Psalms 137, verse 8, O daughter of Babylon, who are to be destroyed. Happy shall he be that rewarded thee as thou hast served us. Because the same old stuff you did to blacks, you beat our backs out with the bullwhip, you tied us, strapped us down, beat our backs out, and then you took salt and poured it into the open wounds to torment us, and did so many other things. We gonna do the same old stuff to you white people, man. And any other heathens that took us as slaves. We're going to reward you the same way you did us. We're going to give you a dose of your own shit, man. Concerning these scriptures, man. So we're going to reward you the same way you did us. And worse. We're going to ravish your woman the same way you ravished us. We're going to work the hell out of you from sun up to sundown the same way you did to us. Psalm 137, verse 9. And happy shall he be that takes and dash your little ones against the stone. We're going to take these little cracker babies, cracker girl babies, these cracker boy babies. We're going to bust their goddamn heads open against the stone. Watch their brain ooze out. Because you did it to the children of Israel. And you're going to be rewarded back tenfold. Or maybe more than that. So that's what this eclipse is all about, y'all. That's what this is all about. You white people should be horribly afraid. You should fear. Because you finna get your ass choked up. That's what this symbolizes, man. Rebellion, revolution, black power. As blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans coming back as one nation again, as the Israelites. That's gonna slaughter and leave you crackers belly down, back up. Belly down, belly up. We not sparing you crackers. When the Most High give us that appointed time, when he give us that spiritual power, we cutting off necks, arms, torsos, legs, feet. We gonna get you, man. We gonna get you, Esau. That's why Nat Turner did what he did on the eclipse. This is Psalms 149, verse 1. Praise ye the Lord. Sing unto the Lord, Yahweh, a new song, and his praise in the congregation of his saints. Now the saints are the Israelites, pursuing the Psalms 50:5 and Psalms 50:5 and Psalms 148 verses 13 to 14. That's the saints are the Israelites, children of Israel. 149. Let Israel rejoice in him that made him, and let the children of Zion be joyful in their king. Okay, goes on to say Psalms 149 and verse 9. Well, let's skip to verse 7, then we'll go to 9. Psalms 149 verse 7. Let's skip up to verse 6. Let the high praises of God be in their mouth, and a two-edged sword in their hands. See? Let the high praises of God be in their mouth, a two-edged sword in their hands. What are we going to do with that? What blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans going to do with that two-edged sword in their hands? Psalms 149, verse 7. To execute vengeance upon the heathen. We're going to cut your goddamn neck off. You white people and all you other Gentiles that afflicted us and put hell on us. To execute vengeance upon the heathen and punishment upon the people. We're going to give y'all heathenistic nation, those of y'all on down Madison. That's what this solar eclipse is all about. That's what it's all about. You heathens, get ready. Psalms 149. To bind their kings with chains and their nobles with fetters of iron. You crackers going into slavery, man. That's what we're going to do to you. That's also a representation of that eclipse. Letting you so-called white people know that you're going in slavery. That your little white supremacy is going to be covered up with black supremacy. And you're going to slavery, man. This is the white man's destiny, according to the Bible. You taking your ass into slavery, man. You're taking your ass into slavery. We're going to slave your woman. Well, we're going to slave you, man. We're going to kill you, man, up. We're going to kill these damn cracker babies up, right? And we're going to take your woman and we're going to pop your woman. We're going to rape your woman, too. We're going to have our way with your woman, all right? We're going to gang rape your woman the same way you did us on the plantation. So you white people's in store for it, man. Y'all better get ready. This is exactly what we're going to do in the kingdom. We're going to take your woman and we're going to have our way with your woman. Okay, we're going to really dog your woman out. As you can see, this illustration, we're going to take your white woman and we're going to really dog her, man. Because you did it to our woman on the plantation. Even the North Americans from the tribe of Gad, the Northern Kingdom, the Latin tribes, they're going to take your goddamn hearts out of your chest. Okay? And we're going to show you that this Bible prophecy, man, because you white people, you really got the best of the natives. So, in the end, the natives going to take your damn heart out of your chest, man. Okay? Psalms 149. To execute upon them the judgment written. This honor have all his saints, praise ye the Lord. So we're going to execute upon them the judgment that's written in this book, man. This book speaks on prophecies of judgment that's going to happen to you white people, man. Oh, they ain't tell you that what the eclipse symbolized, didn't they? They didn't tell you that. Beware. I have a scripture for this illustration right here on the behalf of the tribe of Gad and also many other Northern Kingdom tribes that are primarily Latino and Latin tribe today. To show you that the Native Americans is going to get back they're going to get their payback on the behalf of what you crackers, you dirty ass dogs, did to the Northern Kingdom of Israel. Genesis 49:19. Gad, that is the Native Americans. A troop shall overcome him. Now, who overcame the Gadites? The Europeans, man. Who overcame Gad? The Europeans, the British Puritans, and so forth. Okay, they slaughtered the Native Americans. So a troop shall overcome him, which already happened. But guess what? But he shall overcome at the last. And that's what you see right here. He shall overcome at the last. Meaning that these Native Americans, these Gadites, gonna get on you white people ass, man. They gonna cut your guts out. They gonna cut your limbs off like you did them. Another thing, brothers and sisters, concerning this solar eclipse. Don't know if you have seen the movie Apocalypto, but there was a certain scene in this movie where a solar eclipse took place. And that was like the same thing in reference to Nat Turner. You know, that was a sign for Jaguar Paul to rise up on the oppressor. Now, as you can see at the top, it says Apocalypto. This is a movie, a Hollywood movie. Apocalypto is a 2006 American epic adventure film directed and produced by Mel Gibson and written by Gibson. Okay, and also it was Gibson and S.F.I.A. So, the moral to the story is Apocalypto. Let's go down. As you can see it right here, Mel Gibson's Apocalypto. Check this movie out, brothers and sisters. This is also dealing with on the behalf of the eclipse. Don't know if you can see this or not, brothers and sisters, but it says Mel Gibson and it says Apocalypto. And as you can see right here, do you see that solar eclipse? You see that solar eclipse right here. That solar eclipse. Okay, that's in reference to the same thing as Nat Turner. Nat Turner believed that the solar eclipse was a symbol from God for him to cause a rebellion, a revolution on the plantation. Where when you look into Apocalypto, that solar eclipse is a sign for Jaguar Paul to rise up against the Mayans and start a revolution. So most definitely the eclipse does symbolize revolution and rising up against the oppressor and overthrowing the oppressor and gaining victory. Okay? I try to give you the all-around scenario on the behalf of this movie Apocalypto. While hunting in the Mesoamerican rainforest, you had this particular guy by the name of Jaguar Paul right here. This is real name, Rudy Youngblood. Jaguar Paul. I'm going to show you how Jaguar Paul looks concerning Apocalypto. This is Jaguar Paul. Jaguar Paul concerning the movie Apocalypto. Rudy Youngblood, he played as Jaguar Paul. As you can see, he played as Jaguar Paul. Then Apocalypto. Rudy Youngblood played as Jaguar Paul. Keep that in mind. So while hunting in the Mesoamerican rainforest, Jaguar Paul, Rudy Youngblood, his father, Flint Sky. Now, his father was Flint Sky. It says, and their fellow tribesmen encounter a procession of refugees fleeing warfare. The group's leader explains that their lands was ravaged and they seek a new beginning. he asked for permission to pass through the jungle. Flint Sky comments to his son that the visitors were sick with fear. It says, and urges him to never allow fear to infect him. At sunrise the next morning, the tribe's village is raided by a group led by Zero Wolf. Okay, so at sunrise that next morning, the tribe's village was raided by a group led by Zero Wolf. So Zero Wolf was over the Mayan tribes, and the Mayan tribes basically came in and they raided the other tribe. So let me show you Zero Wolf. Okay. As you can see. Now, this not Zero Wolf. This is Zero Wolf. This is Zero Wolf. But to make a long story short, brothers and sisters, what went on was Zero Wolf and this man from the Mayan tribe, they took over Jaguar Paw and his tribe, and they set the huts on fire. They killed many of Jaguar Paw tribe up, and they killed also Jaguar Paw. They killed his father, which was Flint Sky, and the rest of the ducks was taken captive. Now, they ain't not going to tell you this in Apocalypto. In Apocalypto, we know that these Mayan tribes took over Jaguar Paw and his man and his women. But these were really the so-called white man in Apocalypto. They're not going to tell you that. These were really acting as the so-called white man. Because this Mayan tribe, you know, they took Jaguar Paw woman. They killed Jaguar Paw man. They burnt Jaguar Paw men and their houses down. And they took Jaguar Paw, him and his man, as slaves. So they made it seem like basically the Mayans was against another Indian tribe, when in actuality, the Mayans really the so-called white man. They did this to make it seem not so obvious. But anyway, in this movie Apocalypto, if you would look at the movie to make a long story short, basically that the Mayan tribes took Jaguar Paw, his man, and the woman. They took them as slaves, but they didn't catch Jaguar Paw, wife and child, because Jaguar wife and child, they hid like in a gigantic hole that was in the earth. Okay, so the rest of the tribes of Jaguar Paw was captured, and what they did was they took the females of Jaguar Paw tribe and sold them as slaves, and they took the males and they escorted them to the top of the Mayan pyramid, and they sacrificed the man by cutting their hearts out. Okay, so as they was already in the process of cutting the hearts out of Jaguar Paw's man, they got down to Jaguar Paw to cut his heart out, and something tremendously happened. An eclipse in the sky took place. Now you have to see this movie. An eclipse in the sky took place, people. So here go the Mayans escorting Jaguar Paw and his man to the top of the Mayan temple to be sacrificed to have their hearts pulled out. But when they took the man, as you can see, they took man to the top of the Mayan temple to cut their hearts out. When they got the Jaguar Paw to cut his heart out, an eclipse happened. So when they lied Jaguar Paw down at the top of the Mayan temple to cut his heart out, something happened. Something happened. Eclipse. An eclipse came in the sky. During the Apocalypto, eclipse came into the sky while they was in the midst of about to cut Jaguar Paw heart out of his chest. And they stopped when the eclipse came into the sky. And it came into the sky for a couple minutes. Okay, and the eclipse, and it was over with, and the sun shined forth again. And they started chanting and rooting, and they got Jaguar Paw up. And basically what they did was, so you can see it for yourselves. Once the raiders and captives reached the city, the females were sold as slaves It says, while the males are escorted to the top of the step of the pyramid to be sacrificed, see, before the Mayan king and the queen. And as a result, a solar eclipse and the superstition surrounding it. Jaguar Paul and the remaining captives are spared. They are spared from being sacrificed by beheading, and instead they are ordered to be taken away and disposed of. They are offered freedom if they can avoid being hit during target practice by Zero Wolf and his men. So you're going to find out that Jaguar Paul, he got hit, but he was severely injured, but he escaped. And he killed Zero Wolf, right? And Jaguar Paul, he escapes into the jungle, and Zero Wolf sets off with 8 comrades to chase him down to kill Jaguar Paul, right? And back in his native jungle, Jaguar Paul now has the advantage, although he is badly injured. Most of his pursuers, including Zero Wolf and Middle Eye, are gradually killed off, see, by traps and so forth. Jaguar Paul until there are only 2 left to hunt, see. And basically Jaguar Paul ended up killing these men. What I'm saying is that an Apocalypto, that eclipse was a sign for Jaguar Paul to cause a revolution against this Mayan tribe that took his people as slaves. So that's what I'm saying. The eclipse, that's a symbol of revolution, man. I don't want to make this video too long. The eclipse is definitely a symbol of revolution, man. Brothers and sisters. Jeremiah 30:16. Therefore all they that devour thee shall be devoured, and all thy adversaries, okay, all these heathens, every one of them shall go into captivity, and they that spoil thee shall be spoiled, and all that prey upon thee will I give for prey. So concerning these heathens, concerning the so-called white man, okay, the Arabs, Chinese, Japanese, East Indians, and the Africans, concerning Jeremiah 30:16, therefore all they that devour thee, all you heathens that did this to us, these unspeakable atrocities to us, it says, all thee that devour thee shall be devoured, and all thy adversaries, every one of them shall go into captivity. You heathens are going into slavery, man. All right, and this just a symbol. This just a sign, man. Okay, it's definitely a sign. Believe it or not. Isaiah 14:21. Prepare slaughter for his children, for the iniquity of their fathers, that they do not rise nor possess the land nor fill the face of the world with cities. Because you crackers ain't going to be no more high skyscrapers after this, man. After blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans put y'all ass to death, we're going to take most of y'all as slaves in the kingdom, and after 1,000 years, we're going to gather you together and burn you up concerning the book of Obadiah. And we're going to get rid of you off the earth, man. So prepare slaughter for his children for the iniquities of their fathers, because you white people, you have to pay for what your fathers have done. Christopher Columbus, that was your father. All these wicked-ass founding fathers. All these wicked-ass white folks in history that did horrible things to blacks and Hispanics, those are your fathers. And you modern-day white people, you have to pay for the iniquity of your fathers, because truth be told, you are your fathers in the reincarnation. That they do not rise nor possess the land. Don't worry about it. You're not going to have no goddamn land anymore. Nor fill the face of the world with cities. You're not going to have any buildings anymore. Because we taking over. The blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans going to set our kingdom up on the earth. So you can think on bullshit all you want, but that's what this eclipse about. Revolution. Rising up.